Creating a secure password isn't always an easy process. Usually it's required that you change your password every 60 to 90 days. Normally on a night like this section of Highway 49 in Gulfport would be heavily occupied by hundreds of motorists making their way to their respective destinations. However, tonight, absolutely not the case. It's really like a ghost town out here. There's literally no one out. Experts say dolphins are naturally curious and kind by nature, so they really don't understand why anyone would do something so horrible. You see my waist here completely covered in water, so easily someone could trip into that and fall, and that could become a very dangerous and nasty situation. So again, stay inside, keep your safety as a priority, and tune in here for the latest. Prominent landmarks around the world will be showing their support for this global initiative, and for these supporters, it's great to see the coast on board.
Last week you had the Gulfport Music Fest. This week you have this. What's going to be next, Terrance?
Rebecca, it's a hard job, but somebody's got to do it, and luckily for me, I'm having a good time doing it. You're driving along Highway 90, you can't help but notice the police presence and the sheriff's deputies here, but they say they're here just to keep everyone safe. Right now, traffic is moving a little steady along Highway 90, as you can see behind me, and most of the spring breakers I talk to say that they're just here to have a good time, and that's all they want to do. I'm just going to give you a visual of the situation at hand. As you can see, there is a significant amount of sand that has blown onto the roadways, and it's creating an issue for drivers. Now, sand blowing onto the roads is not uncommon for this area, but the reason it's especially a problem now is because we're just days away from this year's Cruising the Coast. If this campout is any indication for how well the public's receiving the idea, I'd say they're doing pretty well. They had 95 people register.
A recent study conducted by Microsoft found that the average web user has about 25 accounts that require passwords. That's a lot. So how can you keep track of all that sensitive information? Here are some options for you.
Remembering usernames and passwords. It's something almost everyone has to deal with.
Twitter, Tumblr,
eBay, Amazon, Facebook.
Get the point? You can only remember so much, so what do? Well, that depends on who you ask.
I write them down.
I keep a lot of them the same.
If you're one of those people who thinks the solution is to keep all your username and password combos the same, the experts at Best Buy's Geek Squad say that's not a good idea.
It's kind of like having one key to everything for your digital self. So think about it this way. If you have your car keys, your house keys, your key to your office at work, and they're all one key, what happens if somebody gets a hold of that key? Well, they have access to everything.
That same rule applies online. Hackers have become extremely advanced over the years. If the password you use for everything were ever compromised, that would open the door for a world of trouble. Creating a secure password isn't always an easy process. Usually it's required that you change your password every 60 to 90 days. Then there are the rules that require that you have uppercase letters, lowercase letters, symbols, numbers. The list goes on and on. But there are solutions, and one of them might be right here in your smartphone.
Password management programs. You can find them anywhere from like your cell phone. There are some for mobile devices. There are some that'll be part of your web browser, like Internet Explorer or Google Chrome or Firefox.
Essentially, password management apps act as a digital vault for all your important information. By entering a simple 4-digit code, you can gain access to all your usernames and passwords stored in one place.
I think a lot of people aren't aware of them yet. 5 years ago, how many passwords did you have? Probably not many. Nowadays, you have passwords for everything. And so these management apps are something that really started growing more recently.
But again, you'll want to be careful and do your research, making sure the app is a legitimate one that can be trusted. TerranceFriday, America Now. As you know, we've entered hurricane season, and from what experts are telling us, this year looks to be an active one. Luckily for us, there are a few good Samaritans keeping an ear on what's going on. We stopped by JD Community College for a demonstration of what ham radio is all about. Harry Samuelson is a leader with the Mississippi Coast Amateur Radio Association. There's been no threat of natural disasters as of yet, but radio operators like Harry have been staying abreast, monitoring radio traffic. Through field day, the public is able to get in on the action.
W5SGL. We come out on field day and set up our radios in places that we don't normally operate, like our homes. We do this for practice on field days so that when their real emergency comes up, we can go out to the different shelters or different locations and provide emergency communications.
There are countless organizations who depend on those services. Ham radio operators provide radio communications whenever there's a crisis. You can't always depend on cell phones or the internet, but when all else fails, ham radios are there.
During hurricanes, Some of us go to the Harrison County EOC, and we provide the backup communications for Harrison County. Fortunately, we've been able to do that every time they've needed it.
Given the unbelievable advances in technology, the equipment may seem slightly dated, but this good old-fashioned system is a proven method that stood the tests of time. Even I gave it a shot, but no worries, I won't be quitting my day job. Some things should just be left to the pros. It may be a hobby for some radio operators, but they never forget the seriousness of the position they hold.
125.10.
You don't realize just how you can affect other people. And until you've been through it, either doing the communications or having been on the other side, receiving the help. And it makes you feel real good.
Obviously, I had no clue what I was doing, but that's why we're thankful for the experts for looking out for us. And speaking of weather, we've seen our share of thunderstorms on the coast today, so what can we expect overnight? Let's go to meteorologist Joel Young for a first look at the forecast. Joel? Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Terrance Friday. New tonight, state investigators are looking into the death of State Representative Jessica Upshaw. The murder trial of George Zimmerman begins this week. A jury of 6 women selected last week will hear opening arguments tomorrow. On Sunday, the defense team announced that co-counsel Don West will deliver the opening statement. Lead attorney Mark O'Mara has been the most visible and vocal of Zimmerman's lawyers thus far in the case. The defense says the statement should take between 1 and 2 hours. Zimmerman is charged with second-degree murder for the shooting death of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin. He's claiming he shot Martin in self-defense. Tragedy in the sky today. A pilot and wing walker died in a plane crash at an air show in Dayton, Ohio, in front of spectators. Deidre Bryant has more, but we do want to caution you, the crash video may be disturbing to some of our viewers. A Biloxi man is in jail tonight charged with making death threats on Facebook. 20-year-old Byron Miller has been charged with cyber stalking. Police say an investigation revealed that Miller had threatened to kill a 17-year-old and her parents on Facebook and another website. Well, you may have noticed that there's a fireworks stand at the corner of Pops Ferry and Cedar Lake in Biloxi, and some citizens are kind of confused. They don't understand how there's a fireworks stand that can be sold within city limits, yet they're prohibited from being used. Good question. Well, David Nichols, the chief administrative officer for the city of Biloxi, says that there was a special exception in this case because the city ordinance was meant to allow people to have firework displays or shows within the city, but because that ordinance wasn't very clear, the city also had to allow the stand to go up. The Department of Education is accepting nominations for the Teacher of the Year award. The ideal candidate is a teacher who goes out of their way to make learning exciting in the classroom. So if you know someone, nominate away. Who knew that a couple of bearded men could cause such chaos at the Golden Nugget Hotel and Casino? But then again, these aren't just any bearded men. They're the stars of A&E's hit reality show, Duck Dynasty. WLX reporter Carrie Grace was there to witness all that madness.
Lows once again.
Oh wow, it's coming back.
So fall is here, Terrance.
It's here.
Are
Great.
You ready?
I love the fall. It's my favorite season.
I do too.
So the cat's out of the bag on a smuggling scheme at a prison in Brazil. Guards found out when they caught this furry perpetrator trying to enter the jail strapped with contraband. Officials say the cat was carrying a cell phone, batteries, a charger, drill bits, and an earphone. Prison staff say they believe someone outside taped the items onto the cat and hoped it'd be able to sneak in and reach a prisoner. After moving the contraband from the innocent feline, he was given to a local animal shelter. That poor cat, who does that? Thanks for staying up with us. Have a good night.